What's up, guys? Welcome back to Viewer Castles. Today we're going to start off with CharismaOrc. Castle levels of 19. I'll jump into it on my knight.
Get ready for a pain hammering.
Alright. So I actually have made up my mind, I think. And I do actually think I prefer rotating cannon traps with this patch if you have a spike trap with only 2 active panels. When you have 3 active panels, I think it's still a toss-up as to which one's better. I think it depends on like the situation that you're in. But I do like rotating cannon traps quite a bit in this patch. They have been buffed significantly. But when you only have 2 panels, I don't think it really stands up. Like, I think these are probably one of the weaker weaker traps when you only have 2 active panels, because they're so easy to dodge and they don't really even do all that much damage. I think they get a bigger damage buff when they reach their, tier up, so that they do gain 3 active panels. They also get a pretty significant stat increase as well. So that's the first thing I want to say about pretty much any castle that I don't remember exactly what level they gain 3 panels on. Whenever they gain 3 panels, that's kind of when you want to start using spike traps. Before that, I don't think they're really worth it. Unless, of course, something gets nerfed in the next patches or something, This is for patch 19, so I have to assume that they're going to probably nerf and buff things eventually. And even so, maybe next patch will have free creation mode, so that would be a different, it would be different, obviously, as well. That would have a lot of testing to go into when that patch comes out with free creation mode. There's going to be a lot of things that people will have to test, and I don't think there's really going to be any specific way to play. Alright. So I like the archers. The over-the-head smash, I believe the lower tier Cyclops is like under tier 7. The over-the-head smash doesn't really stun you for all that long anymore. At all. So it won't help your archers hit at all. You just kind of have to hope that the attacker doesn't dodge out of the way. The charge might have 1 arrow hit, but probably not even. I mean, it's been nerfed quite a bit this last patch. As you can see, you get up pretty quickly off of all of these, so I'm not going to say it's bad. I think it still does reasonable damage. I also think that it's that the Cyclops is less buggy at tier 4 through 4, 5, and 6, and 7. But once you get up to tier 7, the over-the-head smash will, like, sometimes randomly miss. So I think charge is better at that point, but I think both are pretty viable when you get to, like, the red Cyclops, just tier 4 through 7. Alright, Jimbo. The problem with this is, I've talked about it before, you see me using these guys in my castle, and they work out well because Star Masters will gain tier 4 at level 28. Before level 28, for some reason, just the way that they balanced it, this displacement field is actually worthless. Like, it's doing 5 damage per tick, whereas when it hits level 28, it'll be doing around 200 damage per tick. So it's a huge damage increase. Like, even at the tier before that, tier 3, it does about 40 damage a tick. It's a huge increase at tier 4. I hope everybody kind of understands what I'm talking about with tiers. I know there could be some newer people watching my channel that might not understand it. Basically, creatures gain an additional ability or big stat increases or something like that at tier 4 and tier 7. So basically when it says Snotter V, that's tier 5. At Snotter 4, they gain like an additional shot or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is for Snotters. I don't even know if Snotters get anything. But the other creatures, such as Cyclopses, at Cyclops tier 4, they become red, and they gain like a stun on top of their charge and a stun on top of their over-the-head smash and stuff like that. Everything just gets a little bit better. Hungerbots, their hook gets a little bit longer and gets a little bit quicker. At tier 4, it's been nerfed last patch, but it used to be even better than it is now. It's not really that good now, actually, I have to say. It's pretty easy to dodge, but I've been just ignoring it throughout this castle. But that's what I mean by tiers, basically. So when I say tier 4, it's basically when they get to Cyclops 4. not their level. Their level, obviously, it matters, but it's all different for different creatures, so... Because I don't remember it, I have to, you know, talk about it based on tiers. Like, Hungerbots get their tier 4, which they are right now at level 20. Stairmasters get it at level 28. At level 32, Hungerbots go up to tier 7, which is their next big stat increase or ability increase. So their hooks would get longer and faster at tier 7 as well. Same as level 28 for Cyclopses. They gain their tier 7, and they'll become blue. Alright. So, I mean, I think your castle is, for the most part, standard. I would say that one Stairmaster, you should change the specialization at least. But I would say even take it out and add in a Defendatron. It's just better with a Jimbo in that circumstance. But I think that before that, the only real good specializations on Stairmasters, you can use the purple eyeballs, and if you use it well, you can kill a hero with it. Or you can do this teleportation, which isn't that bad. It's better than the displacement field. But really, Stairmasters aren't that amazing until they get up to level 28, as it stands now, where the game is. They used to be amazing at level, you know, as soon as you got them, and at level 20 when you got level 4 Hungerbots, you could pull them into those purple bubbles, and it used to be just crazy good, but with camera rotation being implemented a couple patches ago, that's also fallen out. So we will jump into number 2 in just a second. Alright, for number 2 we have Rubykill, castle levels 17. Jump into it again on my knight.
I feel kind of bad for you monsters already.
Alright, so we have some rotating fire traps. Let's see how much damage they do at this level. So they do about 150 when they hit you for all ticks. One tick will be about 50 damage. A spike trap will be similar to that. It'll be about, you know, 50 to 60 damage, but you'll only have a maximum of 1 tick, and it'll be easier to dodge when you only have 2 panels. So that's why I say that I kind of like rotating cannon traps in this patch a little bit better than others. Alright, so you had a Mittens here. Not my favorite unit. I think the attack speed buff doesn't really justify the 10-point unit cost. You could have 2 more archers in this group, and I think it would do just as good as having a Mittens here. Like, probably better, to be honest. Personally, not my favorite unit. I think it needs significant buffs to be useful, or a significant point decrease. Like, at least by, I would say, if it was 6 points, I might use it. Maybe like 7, which is a really awkward number. I might throw it in, but as it stands with 10 points, and the only real benefit you get from it is the attack speed buff that it gives, you know, around units. It's like a bad dog, but it doesn't have to be killed. Which is good, but it's not worth 10 points. I think buffing the unit itself and keeping it 10 points would be cool. My preferred buff would be a crazy attack speed buff. Like, I think right now it does, I don't really know exactly how much damage it does. I think it does close to 100 per bite, but its bite is pretty slow, even though it has, you know, this attack speed. But I mean, I feel like, you know, it's a dog. It should have a really high attack speed, maybe. And you could buff it to a point where it just kind of gets close to you and just latches on and just starts doing tons and tons of damage. I think that would be kind of cool. I mean, not tons of damage, but, you know, a reasonable amount, right? Buff its attack speed by, like, double or something. Make it ridiculous. Then it would be, you know, a decent elite unit, and it would have the, you know, added benefit of actually being able to do damage if it was ignored. Because it's pretty weak hit point-wise as well. Alright. So Jimbos are, like, they're okay at these levels. At level 26 you'll get a pretty big damage buff, because that, again, is their level, their tier 4 is at level 26 for Jimbos. So they gain a huge damage increase. They go from like 300, you have them around 300 now, and it'll get up to around 2,000 at that higher level. They are still easy to dodge, but other than that. Is this a charging Cyclops? I can't really tell. I think it is. I know I should know by the little thing on their arm. I think the wooden shield means it's a charging Cyclops. I think. I'm still not good with Cyclops unless it's the overhead slam one. Generally because you only see really the overhead slam and the charging Cyclops, because they're really the only good ones. And then I didn't see him charge, so I was a little bit confused. I think that your Cyclops needs to be just slightly farther back if he's a charged Cyclops. Because you noticed I aggroed the group, and then I sort of stayed behind the wall, and he got too close to me where he wouldn't charge anymore. There's kind of a certain maximum, or a minimum range? I don't know, if he gets too close to you, he won't charge. It's the easiest way to say it. Alright, that guy actually, I think he got the attack speed buff. Yeah, he did. Which is interesting, I didn't think he would get it. Basically, if you pull Bad Dog's Lashing Flames, the game treats it as the dog dying where you're standing, because you're pulling him to yourself, instead of where he actually kind of dies, which is like, you know, as soon as he gets hit, he's pretty much dead, but the game treats it a little bit differently. Alright, is this gonna pull... No, it's gonna pull something different. I don't want to get sandwiched by two groups, so that's what I'm wondering about. Alright, well I'm just gonna double check to make sure this is all working properly. Yeah, it is, okay. Now let's see if I can actually not die to this. I think that these battering rams are a little weak until they get their fire trail. I don't think they have a fire trail yet. Yeah, they don't. But even when they get their fire trail, it's been nerfed, so I don't know. They're okay, I guess. Alright. Then we have a Pete Poundmore. I like this setup, obviously. I've used it in the past. I've seen a couple people using it with Zeeks as well. I think that's pretty good as, you know, as a kind of substitute for this. It's gotten a little bit weaker as of late, as of last patch, because they did change how Defendatrons work a little bit. They basically will break their shield line quicker now, less range. So if you just kind of run away for a little bit and lead the Pete Poundmore, which is faster than the Defendatron, away, it'll break its shield quicker, and you can just kind of kill it a little bit easier. Just something to keep in mind if anybody sees it in the future. That's something that you can do if you have trouble with that boss room. So we will jump into number 3 in just a second. Alright, for number 3 we have Grommel. This cast level's a 20. I'm going to try to run it on my knight, even though I'm not really the greatest knight. I think that castles have been nerfed enough where I should be able to do this pretty easily. And a level 30 would be just absurd to try to run it on, because I'm 10 levels ahead. That would be too easy for me. Alright, so it looks like that was not a fake. Okay. At first I thought it was, but they're being pulled from a very far distance away. I think this is one of those corner rooms. I just haven't seen it rotated this way as of yet. I actually use this in my castle. I have a Mr. Boom Boom around here, and I have it turned around the other way. Alright, so this is actually pretty good. Especially against knights. You know, they can add up their damage. Like, it's not that high, but because you have a healer, it's kind of annoying for me to deal with. Because knights have to chase these guys around, and then I'm getting hit by this ballista trap and stuff. There's one down. I don't want to take too much damage. Like, if I can get away with not using a potion, I would be happy with that. But I might not be able to do that. We'll see. Alright, there we go. And 2 health globes drop. That helps me quite a bit. Alright, now what do we have? If I pull this, he shouldn't get the attack speed buff. See if I can dodge this. It's super easy to dodge Scorpios now. I don't know why they were changed the way that they were. Scorpios have actually received numerous nerfs before they've received any buffs whatsoever. They received a hit point buff a couple patches ago, and then this hook speed and the angle is at which their like hooks come out. Like those side hooks, I don't think they'll ever hit in almost any circumstance now. Whereas they were actually timed out pretty well, where if someone tried to dodge with a roll, one of the side hooks would hit you. So you almost always had to dodge walking as an archer. And it caught me a couple of times before I got used to it. Alright, we have a Pete Poundmore over here. See now, if this, with me talking about this, if this spike trap was was a 3 active panel, I wouldn't have been able to step right here, throw the hook out, because that panel would be active right now. Like, it's only active at 1 point, whereas this one, it's active at 2 points. Or unactive, I guess, I should say. But, I mean, it's okay. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I can test this again. This castle does about 100 damage per tick on rotating cannon trap, and this should do about 120 or so, just slightly more. Yeah, 120. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, this has a possibility of, I think, 4 ticks of damage, so that's 400. But it'll hit more often as you're running through it than spike traps, I think, will, when they only have 2 active panels. So it has a higher max damage and more consistent at this level. This is still good at kind of zoning people out, but I mean, so is this. They're both kind of space control traps. I don't know. With the buff, it's pretty much a coin toss as to which one to use. I've definitely had more trouble currently with rotating cannon traps, but I think that's just because I'm so used to spike traps and how they work. I've kind of forgotten about rotating cannon because nobody's used them in a couple patches. Alright. A lot of slow traps. I feel like I might be going in the wrong area. Like, I feel like I might reach a dead end here. Just because there's no reason to use that many slow traps, and that is the case. Which is okay. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of using, using your room as just kind of an off of your castle. You don't necessarily have to go through it, because you can run people's castles unlimited times. If you could only run it a certain number of times, like they've been talking about implementing, I think it becomes a little bit better. You know, I think they've been talking about, if you run somebody's castle a second time, you gain less loot or something, which I think is an okay response. And obviously, you don't gain less loot, the defender loses less loot, because they're going to start generating stuff from the server, which I think is another decent change. I don't mind it. And also lootable mines I think is a good idea, but I think really people are just looting castles a lot of times for gear. Really, they don't care about the resources. I mean, everybody at level 30 is maxed, and it's not very difficult to max your castle. Like, I've seen a couple people complaining about how long it takes to level up buildings in your castle, and I guess that could be the case if you've gotten a key somewhere where you haven't paid anything for the game, but if you have just a couple hundred blings to upgrade your worker cabin twice, you can get to max level pretty quickly. And it's not really, resources aren't the biggest deal in the world. As long as you attack a couple people a day, it's not a big deal. I mean, I've purposely not leveled up myself, just so I could keep up with the gear and stuff. I mean, I think gear is a bigger issue than actually leveling up things. You really have to just enjoy making castles, really to enjoy the game, I think. I think that's what people really play the game for, which is why I don't really understand some of the decisions the devs have made recently on, you know, nerfing a lot of the castle building aspect and stuff. You really have to make that aspect worth it and balance the game around that, because I think that's what people play. Like, that's the unique thing that you have in this game. If you just want to play an attacking hack and slash, someone would go to a better game, you know. It's like Path of Exile or Diablo 3 or any of those, I think, do it better. Alright. So I haven't really talked much about the castle. I haven't noticed anything super out of place. This is kind of more of a time-wasting thing at the end here. You do have Cyclopses that are on the damage dealing specialization, which, I don't know, I haven't seen it all that much. Personally, I haven't been a fan because I've used Pete Poundworth for my main damage dealing when it's in that circumstance. But having a Robo-Shieldatron is an okay idea because it keeps it alive for a little bit longer. I've also heard something like if you, I don't know, somehow if you kind of stand still, sometimes you randomly dodge Scorpios as well. I haven't seen that really, because I just kind of always try to dodge them. I think that actually might have been one of those circumstances. I don't know, the game functions very weird at this point, because they've changed a lot of the timing and, like, the direction of certain things. You know, like Cyclops is at level 28 and 32, missing you randomly when you're just standing still. Scorpios when you're just standing still. All that stuff needs to be tightened up in the next couple patches. Alright, so that's number 3. We're going to end the video here. If you guys enjoy what I do, as always, please subscribe. If you want to be a part of Rubycast, you can email me at frenzycastruns@hotmail.com. There's a link in the description to a spreadsheet where you can check kind of where you are on the list for viewer castles. I'm starting to approach the end of it, kind of. I'm still like a little bit backed up, but I'm going to be able to start approaching the end of that list by the end of this week. So, you know, that's going to be good for me. I'll be able to start getting people's castles done a little bit more frequently. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.